All this facades, all this fake heart that he play out on the field, that ain't Terrelle Pryor. I checked his background. He's a suburbs kid from Pittsburgh.
I know you talked about it, Adam.
Garbage.
What did that start with for you, Terrelle?
Garbage.
There you go, right there, bro.
Oh, shit.
There you go.
Get him out of there. You see him in there? Okay.
Right there.
You better find him somebody to play with.
Is it him saying basically he could...
Garbage. Garbage.
All right, Adam. Aside from Terrelle, how big is it for you guys?
Garbage. I ain't talking about nothing else. I'm happy we won.
All right, cool.
Terrelle Pryor, garbage.
He had props and everything. Browns coach Hugh Jackson did not complain about Adam Jones' criticism of receiver Terrelle Pryor. Jackson even said Pryor has to stop some of the things that he's doing that lead to that kind of situation, adding, I don't think that there's any place in the National Football League, especially on our team, for this. Max, your reaction?
Well, Terrelle Pryor is extremely talented, but when you're 0-13, shut up. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. And maybe Hugh Jackson would say that no matter what your record is, that's not the way I want to run my football team, and that's his prerogative. Whether he's right or wrong, I think, are ultimately borne out in the results. Whatever his process is the results over time. And Hugh Jackson, up until now, he's a head coach now, has gotten results, and I'd be optimistic about his ability to get results going forward. But to me, the issue is, if you're 0-13, stop talking. You're 0-13. Why are you stirring the pot?
Well, listen, that's correct. Here's the deal. Adam Pac-Man Jones is absolutely right. And I think that Terrelle Pryor needs to have some humble pie, because Pac-Man Jones is basically saying that I've been in this league for a while. You haven't. You just got here. You're a quarterback who's now become a wide receiver. Now, the sad part is that he's the leading wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. Got nearly 900 receiving yards. But when you are 0-13, shut the hell up. You don't need to be talking. That's my argument in favor of Pac-Man Jones and what he did. What I will say in defense of Terrelle Pryor is this. You got a lot of scrubs on Cleveland. You 0-13, I'm sorry. You got a lot of scrubs. Okay? You're Terrelle Pryor. You're doing everything everything imaginable and everything possible to disassociate yourself from it, but you can't help it. You're wearing the same uniform, representing the same franchise, from the same city. You got to go out on the same field with these dudes every day, every week rather, knowing they stink, knowing you'll probably lose, and the frustration is just boiling. So you try to get yourself motivated, caught up in individual matchups, because what you're trying to do is separate, distance, and disassociate yourself from the abysmal circumstances that you're indelibly attached to. That's what's going on with Terrelle Pryor. Yeah. So Pac-Man was right. Terrelle Pryor definitely needed to be humbled. There's no question about it. And Pac-Man Jones can ball, which he has proven. But what I would say to Pac-Man Jones is, when you go home and really think about it, let it go, which I'm sure he will. Because this brother's so miserable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You wouldn't wish 0-13 on anybody.
Two points. I want to make two quick points about this. One, the fact that Pac-Man Jones' background is worse than Terrelle Pryor, so he somehow has more of a right to talk that way. Look, Sugar Ray Leonard did not come from as bad circumstances as some of the other fighters he fought, but he beat him pretty good. So, that's one. And two, Steve Smith. I don't care if Steve Smith came from the richest family in the world, the receiver. The career he's had, and as tough as he's been on the field, that's not Terrelle Pryor. Not yet. He doesn't have that career yet. So Steve Smith can say these same things, and if you're a corner or you're in the secondary, you want to go back at him, whatever. I'm not going to criticize Steve Smith for that, but that's not Terrelle Pryor, at least not yet.
Tom, the terrible, we don't hear that one often. During the first half of last night's win over the Ravens, Tom Brady was captured throwing a tirade on the sideline after he missed a deep pass to Julian Edelman. It's not the first time Brady's been fired up during a game. Max, should Brady get a pass for this?
I mean, yeah. I can't believe we're even asking that question. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback who ever lived. I think that's probably the best argument you can make for any quarterback, is that Brady is number one. He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion. He's an extremely competitive guy. Sometimes I don't like when he shows up receivers. Personally, I think, all right, you showed that guy up publicly a little bit, and maybe it wasn't even that guy's fault. But it's the same way when Popovich says something, we give him a pass because of the equity he built. If this is Popovich's process, then that's the best process. So why are we questioning it? It's better than everyone else's process. If this is Brady's process, then that's the best one. He's entitled to do it. And furthermore, it may be the best one out there because it has led to success. Of course, he not only gets a pass, but it maybe should be emulated when he does something like that. Like there's something to be taken from it.
Here's the deal. Of course, Tom Brady should get a pass because he's one of the best ever, if not the best ever. But I think the question itself is being asked because, Max, the fact is that, again, I keep repeating that sports is the closest thing to a meritocracy. We look at sports and we're thinking things are fair. And so if you're going to judge an Odell Beckham Jr., even though he's a receiver and far more demonstrative than Tom Brady in my estimation, or the T.O.s or Ocho Cincos from the past and others, then people are saying, wait a minute, what you say about these individuals, how you label and characterize these individuals. Why is it that you're so quick to do that, but you're not so quick to do that with Tom Brady? Now, to me, he's great. And he wins. I don't give a damn what he does because he backs it up. And his willingness to hold individuals accountable resonates. Not to mention the fact that when he's usually demonstrative, it's usually in celebration of something team-oriented or when somebody falls short of fulfilling their responsibility. And as the quarterback and as the leader of the team, he has every right to do that. The flip side is that's not the excuse people use for condemning others while giving Tom Brady a pass, and that's the problem.
I want to address that. You said, why are people so quick? I'm not so quick at all. In fact, I'm so slow. In other words, I'm slow to recognize that Tom Brady gets away with that he has built enough equity that it's Tom Brady. Forget about even the position, or it's Greg Popovich or someone like that. If Odell Beckham Jr., who I've been saying is the best receiver in football, he's on the Giants, my team, I love the Giants and love watching Odell play. But if he winds up winning 4 Super Bowls, multiple-time league MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and he starts talking to somebody and doing something which right now I'm not so crazy about, at that point, I'll tell everyone else who has something to say, shut up. He's earned that. So it's not so quick to defend Tom Brady here. It's that over the body of work, over the course of his career, he has earned the benefit of the doubt in these situations.
Well, he's earned the benefit of the doubt, that's true. But at the same time, it's not the reason why everyone's prone to give him a pass. It's that it's almost like it just passes folks by, like it goes unnoticed. It's one thing to sit up there and say, he is this way, but we're going to let that pass because he's so great. It's another thing to be in a situation where you're not even acknowledging how he chooses to conduct himself, his demonstrative tendencies. And yeah, now far be it for me to get on anybody about being demonstrative. I certainly don't have a problem with it, especially when this brother is a winner. All I'm saying is anything that points to consistency and fairness being exercised is something we should entertain instead of ignore.
If you want fairness compared to Tom Brady, get on his level.
Well, that's not necessarily always the case.
Jerry Rice can say whatever he wants.
Well, I'm not sure about that. That's the whole point. I'm not sure if Jerry Rice acted like T.O. or
you're
Odell
right.
Beckham Jr. would have been a problem.
I can't speak for others. As far as I'm concerned, Jerry Rice can say whatever he wants.
Okay.
All right.
We all know you're a bit different. But go ahead.
Let's stay in the AFC. Go to the AFC North. You two.
Got the big in the room. It's about winning. That's what it comes down to. And Jim Harbaugh's that guy. I mean, he went to Michigan. They were losing. All of a sudden, they were back in. They were the Michigan that we knew of old.
He went to Stanford and said,
right.
I'm going to beat you at USC. Everyone laughed at him, and guess what? They started beating USC.
And that offensive line can be fixed. It really can be fixed. But you got to get the right person in line to fix that. Look, if Kevin Demoff and Stan Kroenke want to win, you have to put the right people at the head. You really do. That's what it comes down to. I feel bad for the fans, and I feel terrible for the players, and that's no fun.
Eric Dickerson will get his VIP treatment back, rightfully so. That was him on AM 570 LA saying he wants Jim Harbaugh as the next head coach of the Rams after Jeff Fisher was fired yesterday. Max, who do you think should be the next head coach in LA?
Well, of course, if you can get Jim Harbaugh, you go get Jim Harbaugh. The guy is a winner. He doesn't wear particularly well over time, it seems to me, in the NFL if you look at San Francisco. But even there, That was a tremendous, I thought over a 3-year period, when you look at all the evidence, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, they were the best team over that period in the NFL. If it's not about him being an offensive or defensive, mastermind. As Mark Schlereth points out when he comes on this show, people are hung up on drafting, but there's also the element of development. And it's not exactly the same thing as drafting. Ideally, you draft the players you want and develop them in the ways that you think that's the reason you draft them. They can become this guy ultimately. But it's not exactly the same thing. And you look at players, for example, on the Patriots. Who was Julian Edelman? Who was Chris Hogan? Who was LeGarrette Blount? Who was Malcolm Butler? Who are these people? But they get to the Patriots, and because of the way they are developed there and then the way they're deployed, they are excellent, assets for a football team. So Jim Harbaugh, wherever he goes, will do that, it seems to me, and is an elite football coach, either on the college or pro level. And if you can get him, you get him.
Well, you really stepped out on a limb there, and so am I, because I completely agree with you. You want to go and get Jim Harbaugh, and the reason why you want to go and get Jim Harbaugh, and I feel sorry for saying this because part of me doesn't want him to leave the kids at Michigan and what he's built there. I'd like to see him win a national championship before he gets. I mean, we rave about Jim Harbaugh, and I love him. I think he's a great, fantastic coach, but he didn't win a national championship at Stanford. He didn't win the Super Bowl championship at San Francisco. He hasn't won the national championship or been in the playoffs at Michigan, even though it's year 2, and he's clearly done a phenomenal job. So why should he be the ideal individual in Los Angeles? It's very, very simple. Because he got robbed in San Francisco. The fact of the matter is the San Francisco 49ers, they set up there and they made him the scapegoat. Trent Baalke and Chip Kelly shouldn't be there as far as I'm concerned. What they did to Jim Harbaugh is an absolute travesty. And the fact that he could end up in Los Angeles, out on the West Coast, in the same division as the San Francisco 49ers, I think would be poetic justice. And I think it's something that we all should clamor to take place. I definitely think that's the way to go.
One comment about that, Stephen A. There are managers and coaches in every team sport who mean a tremendous amount to turning around the fortunes of the team. I think about Billy Martin in baseball. He was worth, he could take a last place team the year before, and just through not even acquiring players, using them certain ways and just being a brilliant baseball guy, win the division the very next year, come in second place, just a total turnaround that's unlike anybody else. And I think Harbaugh is that kind of guy. He's so intense, he can do that immediately. Like that year, you go from terrible to really, really good. But Billy Martin was not a long-term answer for a franchise or a team because the intensity burnt those guys out. And the only reservation I have for Harbaugh's candidacy as a head coach in the NFL is in college with the turnaround of players, the turnover rather, every several years, and the fact that they are college kids and you can coach them a certain way, that intensity maybe wears better. And I wonder if in the NFL, it's not that I would ever pass on Harbaugh, I would take him, he'll make you good right away. But it will be interesting to see if and when he has his next stop at the NFL level, whether that wears well over time. And maybe it's with the front office that it doesn't wear well, I don't know. But it seems to me it's possible that his level of intensity will make you great for 3 or 4 years, and then it may be time to move on. I'd like to see him again in the NFL.
It'll be interesting to see their laundry list of candidates right now, former coaches and obviously coordinators. But what an opportunity to turn around football in the city of Los Angeles, that sunshine.
Well,
obviously, a lot of work to do.
Here's the beauty of it. There's nowhere to go but up.
Exactly.
It's been so awful.
The bar is
It's
set
been
nice
so awful.
and low.
The bar is set nice and low. And Jim Harbaugh is like the Larry Brown of football. He's Mr. Fix-It. Let's see what he does. Let's see if that's something that he would take. But they would be smart to extend the opportunity to.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Coming up next.